Our guest today is a multi-platinum Grammy Award-winning artist who has sold over 21 million albums worldwide. He's back with the all-new single called Lil Bit, and it's already topping the charts. Please welcome Nelly to the mix.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey.
What's going on, Nelly?
I'm good. How y'all?
Good.
Good.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's get right into it. I saw you perform on New Year's Eve. Amazing, by the way. And you also performed recently on The Voice finale and Dancing with the Stars. So I'm curious, how different were those experiences because of the pandemic?
Well, being that it was basically in stage, so it was a little bit, but not that much. I mean, you still had the cameras and everything, so business as usual almost to a certain degree. But I mean, performing is a lot better when you do have a crowd. But I mean, it beats not performing. So
Do you miss the crowd though? Like the crowd energy is gone now.
yeah, definitely. You definitely miss the crowd. I mean, if you get to be as fortunate enough as I have to be doing this for like 20 years, you get a chance to own out pretty much. You try to make it your own. But yeah, performing is always better with the crowd. I mean, when you can interact with the people like that and feed off of their energy, definitely. But yeah, I mean, we made it through. It was cool.
All right, man. So listen, you teamed up again with the Florida Georgia line for your new hit single, Lil Bit. And congrats, dog, because it's at the top of the charts right now and it's #1 on Shazam. That's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. Great.
That's dope.
So listen, when COVID is over, do you think that we're going to get a little Nelly country-inspired tour with all the collabs on your EP?
I mean, I ain't opposed to it. I hope so. I think any type of tour, just getting back to the basics, almost getting back to being able to touch your fans, getting back to the people is something that I just don't wish for myself, but I wish for all of us that's in this business. It's been kind of tough. We deal in crowds, and I think we've probably been hit the most out of any business out here that's been affected. I mean, considering, we're doing this and we're not in the studio right now, the chance to do this show the way that we have to do it. But, I've been on like 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 country tours, and 2 of them with FGL. So, they like family to me. We hoping we can get back to it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Would you say that there's a difference between country fans and hip hop fans?
It's so different. Honestly, yeah. I mean, well, first let's start with the similarities. Obviously, they're your fans, so they're just as hype as anybody that's participating in your career across the board. Anybody that's showing you love across the board, their energy, their love for you, they know your music. So that's similar. If you want to get down to the nitty gritty, I mean, to be honest, they spend more money. You want to talk about merchandise selling through the roof. You want to talk about pre-sale tickets. You want to talk about anything that you slap your name on. When they support. And not saying that they don't in hip hop, because they definitely do. It's just I think it's more of a situation to where I think we're a little bit more demanding because we take place in your whole life, as opposed to, I think when I'm participating in a country tour, it's more about my music. You know what I mean? And hip hop is more grounded. Their fans are more grounded. If they believe you, they'll ride with you. But if they iffy about you, that could go either way. You know what I mean? But like if you're dealing with a different genre of music, a lot of those people, they buy into your music more so than basically buying into your story.
Do the country fans throw the panties and bras at you?
Yeah, bro.
Okay.
When you blessed, you buy them all. You blessed.
Hey,
yes, sir.
Come on.
Yeah, I cannot. Okay, so your EP is called Heartland. We want to know, when does it drop, and where does your love of country music actually come from?
Well, hopefully we get a chance to get the EP out right around the end of spring or before the summer goes. We've been kind of tangling with that because of the pandemic, just trying to make sure and get it out. When I'm not used to dropping music over the internet, I'm used to dropping my music in person. I'm used to getting out, presenting my music to the people. That's been working for me so far. But, you know, you got to maneuver the way you got to maneuver. So we've been trying to figure that out. And my love of country music comes from, obviously, a lot of y'all know I'm from the heartland. I'm from Missouri, Show Me State. St. Louis raised me. I was born in Austin, Texas. And my parents were, as far as my father and my uncle was huge Lionel Richie fans. And I don't know if you know anything about Lionel Richie, but Lionel Richie is one of the greatest writers to ever do it. Yep. And pen extends so far across genres of boards. You want to talk about a lot of the Commodore's music, a lot of different people in that genre, but also into the country world. You know what I'm saying? Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton, just different people he's been able to write for. And my uncle turned me on to it a long, long time ago. And it just broadened my horizons for music. And being in Missouri, it's a huge country music. It's a huge country music market, so to speak. And, you know, I just try to be musically free, man. You know, if it's a hit, it's a hit. I don't care where it sit at, what chart it sit at, long as it sit at number one.
No, that's right.
Amen. Yes, sir. That energy, I love it.
Before I get to my question, y'all already know when we have people who I look up to on the show, I got to give them their roses while they're here. I think we don't do that enough in our culture. And Nelly, you are one of one, man. You are a living legend. And I don't think we highlight that enough. I see it even with my own pops where somebody could pave the way and we don't give them their roses. So I want to give you your roses because what you've done and what you're doing, nobody ever do that again. I mean, you sold 10 million records. You went diamond. You know how hard it is to sell 10,000 records, 100,000 records, 500,000 records. This man went diamond. So to be able to say you did that in a lifetime, man, I tip my hat off to you and definitely appreciate you and what you've done for this culture and industry, for real.
I appreciate that, young brother. Yeah, man. I mean, you know, to inspire definitely someone like yourself, because you don't have to look far, my brother. You know what I'm saying? Yours is either down the hall or upstairs. Yo, shout out to your pops, man. You know what I mean? Like, and your pops is somebody who I looked up to. You know what I'm saying? He did his way. He showed us you can do it your way. You know what I mean? And that's where me trying to pioneer as far as being able to do things my way come from. You know what I'm saying? He was one of the first people to open my eyes up to independence and being an artist and being an entrepreneur. So, yo, man, shout out to P. Yeah, well, he can tell you, St. Louis is no limit crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Man, it's love. It's always love when we've been down there. So I wanted to give you your rose and also a story. My song with Solange, True Love, was actually inspired by Dilemma. So Nelly's song Dilemma with Kelly Rowland, that's what inspired me and Solange to go create True Love. So you never know who you're inspiring in this world. But I remember in my Lil Romeo days, you don't even realize he was a big inspiration on my career as well. I'm gonna get to my question, okay? You was the first hip hop artist to cross over the country with Over and Over with Tim McGraw, and it was a huge hit, going #1. So I gotta ask, did you expect that? I already know the answer, but I still gotta ask.
But it's crazy. You know, you hope. I set out to always try to succeed in anything I attempt. You look for it, you hope it'll go, you hope people will perceive it like you're trying to give it. That's what we do in music. You know, everybody's set in the studio and you done bobbed your head and swore that this was a hit, or this one was a hit, or this gonna be the one, or this is the one. You know, that's what we do. But until it actually happens, you know, you never know. Interesting story about it. I mean, even when I wrote the song, I actually wrote it for Tim McGraw. I wrote it for him. It was a song that was just meant for him. I was never even supposed to be on the record. But in doing so, he was just like, yo, you know, you're gonna do it, right? You're gonna be on this with me. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so, you know, as we did the song, we actually recorded it out here in LA, and we only got through half the record, so to speak. If you listen to the record, Tim is only on the record, like he only got one track on the whole record going down. And that's me basically under the whole record. So I did my vocals, his vocal. I was doing everybody's vocals, trying to build the song up. But you know, it was an honor for him to even give that a shot. You know, for him to step out of his world, because Tim McGraw is one of the biggest country stars to ever do it. So for him to step out of his world to even give a kid from St. Louis, a hip hop artist, a shot of like, yo, you know what? I see what you're trying to do, and I'm gonna attempt that, man. I love him. I love him for life for that, because that just didn't help change mine and his life. That helped change music. So, you know, I appreciate, you know, his support on that.
Man, that's a testament. Like, what you have a vision for yourself, but then when you see that God has something completely bigger than you can even imagine for yourself.
Yeah. I appreciate it. So, to answer your question, though, Rome, no, I was hoping it went one. I mean, you know, I was pushing for it.
Dang, no, but that's the beautiful thing about success. You don't know. People may be looked at, oh, this Tim McGraw and Nelly, this is going to be an automatic hit. But even like Nelly said, he was in there. He was doing everything he had to do to make sure it was a success. And I think that's the lesson a lot of kids could learn about success. You don't know. But the ones who believe and have faith, they usually shoot for the stars and land on the moon.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I want to know, like, I know, Nelly, you said, you know, you'll be in the studio think, oh, this is a hit, and then it might not be. Like, how do you deal with that and then get the motivation to go back in the studio and go harder and make your next hit?
Well, I mean, obviously, I know you've heard the expression, you get more out of your failures than you do out of your achievements. And that's just the truth, you know, because when you don't succeed at something, you'll go back and you'll analyze that bit, for piece to see where that misstep was, you know. And it's kind of like building a car. And I only know that from my pops. You know, he was a mechanic, and he used to always say, you know, finding out what's wrong with a car is just, you just got to go step for step. You got to, you know, you got to walk it down. You got to take this apart. You got to try this. You got to try this. You got to try that. And that's the same way that's the same approach I take in this music. It's just like, yo, if this didn't work, why it didn't work? And sometimes it comes out and sometimes it doesn't, but you can't be afraid to try. And the fact that I've been playing sports my whole life, you know, you can't win every game, but as long as you play hard, long as you practice, long as you work out, long as you go harder than you think your opponent is going, then you've already won in that sense. You know what I mean? Like, you can't take anything away from it. And I mean, hell, man, you know, you got to be blessed too. So it happens.
And that's why you continue to win, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like Romeo was saying, your album Country Grammar was certified diamond, selling 10 million copies, which is very rare for a rap album. And so many other songs are now hip hop staples. So we would like to know, how does 2000 Nelly compare to 2021 Nelly?
What a Band-Aid. Like, you know, ain't no more Band-Aid. I guess I'm a little bulkier. You know, I think I probably weighed about 155 at that time. I was a little light in the ass. So, but I think, you know, you just grow. Obviously, you get more mature. You try to learn from your mistakes. Staying positive as well. You got to stay positive. You just have to. I know that's the hardest thing to do, because being negative is easy. Yep. Being negative is easy. It's easy to always be the negative energy when you walk into a room. It's easy to be the one that people, you know, you just conflictive. You just always start, you know, those people. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, person is always controversial. He's doing this, he's doing that. And that's cool. That may work for some people, but I found out what works for me is just being positive. And I think that's the biggest thing that Nelly does now, as opposed to back then. I think I was a little bit more sensitive when I was younger, you know, listening to more people trying to, you know, go at what you say, this and this and that. And I think as you get older, you learn how to just, you know, keep it moving, and you address what needs to be addressed only because it's stopping the progress. If it don't stop the progress, then you keep it moving.
I like that, man.
I mean, listen, speaking of growth, you made it to the finals on Dancing with the Stars, and you impressed America. Did you know that you had those moves in you?
Never.
Man, Nelly, you was on Dancing with the Stars, like, for real. I'm a Dancing with the Stars alumni, and anybody who do that show, it's like That show is the hardest thing I've done in my life. I played college basketball, toured the world. Doing Dancing with the Stars, you have no idea what you're getting into until you're in there.
None. That was
why?
That was literally.
I always hear that.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, how it got into it. Me and my big mouth, COVID. I'm in the house. You know, I don't know if anybody's a Scorpio or got Scorpio in their family, but we think we can do whatever. Yep. We think we're the best. We think we're the best. We think we can do whatever. If we can't win at it, we can compete as long as we're not last. That's how we feel. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm running my mouth and this came up and I was like, you know what? I can do that. I can do that. And the situation came up and I was able to do it. But the first day I got there, I was kind of like, yo, what the hell am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, I'm really doing this. And I don't think I would have been able to do it had it not been for COVID because of, you know, like Rome said, it's taxing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like you really, unless you're not going to take it seriously. Now you could go on there and, you know, do the show, but I'm not there to get embarrassed at all. You know? So I wanted to work hard and I knew that this would have me work hard. You know, they wanted me to do other shows. I didn't want to be on a singing show. I felt like if I would have been on a singing show and lost to a housewife or a skater, I would have been totally upset. You know what I mean? Like, I might have blew the show, took the mask off or something. Yo, it's me. You know, but I knew that the dancing would take me working my ass off to participate. And, you know, I was fortunate enough, man, and my fans, they held me down. You know, they held me in there to the last.
I gotta ask you this, Nelly. Like it pushes you, right? It pushes you to a whole nother level, and you never expect that in a ballroom. Like when I did the show, I respected dancers and everybody on that show a whole nother level because we're in there 8 hours a day, locked in the room with the same person, and you got to go out there and do what they do as a professional. It's not easy. Dancing with the Stars is not an easy show, like Nelly said, if you take it serious.
No, definitely. I'm glad I did it though. Definitely. Yeah.
So Nelly, we want to know what projects do you have coming up in 2021?
Yes. Well, like you said, I just released the first single off my upcoming EP. The EP is called The Heartland. Obviously, the first single was called Little Bit. The Heartland EP, I don't call it a country album. I respect country artists. I love country music so much. So I know that Nelly's not going to wake up one day and just do a country album. Just like Tim McGraw's not going to wake up one day and do a hip hop album. I don't live a country life, but the EP is inspired by country music and it shows my appreciation and all the people that influenced me through country music. So it's still a Nelly album, but it's just influenced through country music and by country music. So again, that should be out late spring, early summer, somewhere along that lines. I just shot a new commercial for Lay's, Flamin' Hots. Make sure y'all get it. Okay. Yes, and hopefully we get a chance to get out on tours, something to that nature, man. And, you know, I'm just winging it like everybody else trying to figure it out.
So pretty much what you're saying is 2021, you get into the bag.
Yes, sir. That's what I like to hear.
What our money reside? What our money reside?